If you grew up in North America and are around my age, I guarantee that you've seen the following commercial playing many, many times on TV in the middle of the day when you were a kid. It is none other than...
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday? Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You call now.
I'll call now.
Welcome to Couch Bum Nostalgia, as this one commenter put it. In the last two entries in the series, I covered the infamous snake oil glue stick known as Head-On, and the sub-sandwich-loving tarsier troubadours known as the Quiznos Spong Monkeys. Both of those commercials stuck around in our collective consciousness because they had a certain artistic X-factor that made them hard to forget. The magic X-factor that gives today's advertisement its staying power may not be so obvious because, by comparison, it's just so normal. It's about an average 90s suburban couple deciding to buy an air conditioner from Sears. And that's it. Doesn't really sound that special when you describe it like that, yet here we are talking about it more than 20 years later. When doing the research for this video, I was able to find two incredible sources of information that were very helpful in learning a lot about the story behind this commercial. One of them was a Reddit post where the actual actress who was in the commercial chimed in the comments. The second is a 2022 article called You'll Call Now, The Making and Meaning of the Sears AC Commercial That Will Never Die. So join me to take a closer look to find out exactly what makes the Sears commercial live rent-free in the minds of an entire generation. Enough of me blabbing. Let's get into this. One thing I find amusing is that the people who made the ad were completely unaware of its status as a nostalgic icon, and upon finding out, were confused as to why. When called for more information, the ad's director, Joe Scudiero, asked, "Is this a prank? Am I on some prank thing? Out of all the commercials we've done." I can understand that last line from him, out of all the commercials we've done, why he's a little confused, because there's nothing particularly outrageous or crazy about this commercial. I'm sure for all the people who were making it, this really was just a simple, short little script that probably just took one day to film, and then they moved on with their lives, and then 20 to 30 years later, people are still talking about this thing. Turns out they actually shot this commercial in the director's own house in the suburbs of Chicago. Despite ending up as likely one of the most viewed ads of all time, the director, Joe Scudiero, remembers that it had a relatively low budget of around $100K. Wait, you're telling me this ad cost them $100,000 to make? Where'd all the money go? Production went well, except for the fact that everything in his freezer went bad over the course of filming, because for audio reasons, the refrigerator was unplugged the whole time. And with Zaffarano doing her lines with the freezer door open, the food didn't stand a chance. Another interesting little thing is that the actress recently found out she was pregnant shortly before shooting this commercial. She was worried that she'd be recast if the rest of the crew found out, so she worked with the wardrobe people and strategically used a dishcloth. And you can actually see her using that little dishcloth to cover her abdomen, her little baby bump that just started to show in this shot here. Let's start by breaking down the ad. It's only a minute long and has a fairly standard structure. From 0 to 12 seconds, this is the part that everyone knows and everyone remembers. This is where the greatest relationship drama of our era plays out. From 22 to 55 seconds, there's some more VO continuing to read the Sears copy, and there's some graphics on screen explaining the air conditioner sale. And then from seconds 55 to the 1 minute mark, the last 5 seconds of this ad serves as a little bit of an epilogue to the story at the beginning. When you really boil it down, the part that everyone remembers, the part that has been played over and over in the minds of millions, is only about 17 seconds of screen time. I think the way this ad is written is really the foundation for what makes it so memorable. According to the ad's writer, Judy Rohner, the dialogue is tight, direct, and fast-paced, and the spot was written perhaps as quickly as overnight, and to her it was really just another assignment. I feel like you could use this script as an exercise for an acting class. There really are so many ways you could interpret this. I would love to see someone who knows more about acting techniques than me do 100 different interpretations of the script. For example, one read you could say, act this out as if the woman is in charge of the whole relationship. Next, you could say, act this out as if the man is in charge of the whole relationship. And you could have another read where you say, read it as if they're both really just desperate, like they're at their wits' end and they're just begging each other. Call Sears now because they can't stand the heat anymore. And you could do another read where they're just really angry at each other, like they're about to explode into this deep-seated argument of I said, you'll call now. The script seems so simple, but like an ogre, it has layers. There's both internal and external conflict. Externally, they're deciding on buying an AC unit, which is obvious. But internally, it's like we're getting a snapshot into what is a real three-dimensional couple's married life. They've known each other for a while, they love each other, but sometimes they get on each other's nerves. And now we have to see this couple make a big purchase while both agitated in the summer heat. So a solid foundational script, plus actors who know what they're doing, gives you a sum that is greater than its parts. The performances by Monica Zaffarano and Gus Bucktenica are so effective because I feel like we get to learn so much about this couple in just under 20 seconds of screen time. I cannot live another day without air conditioning, as she uses the open freezer door to try and stay cool. The man, however, seems to be much more flippant about the temperature. Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter. Hotter? The woman asks in disbelief. Like yesterday. Yesterday? The word stops her in her tracks. Calmly but firmly, she approaches the table and lowers his newspaper to make sure she has his full attention. Yesterday you said you'd call Sears. She doesn't take a more aggressive approach because she's smart. She's diplomatic. She knows that her husband might shut down if she tries to be too aggressive. He thinks he can just push this task off farther down the road because, let's be honest, he wasn't calling today. You'll call now. This final plea makes the gravity of the situation clear to him. In an instant, he's reminded of the woman that he fell in love with, how her playfully assertive qualities harmonize with his more casual and freewheeling ways. With a jaunty cock of the head and a coy smirk, the man says, "I'll call now." I want to read you a quote from this article because I think this is just the most excellent description of that man's line reading. A moment of consideration for the man, in which the whole relationship seems to flash before his eyes as he bobs his head from side to side. He smiles wryly and almost whispers the next three words, the tone outwardly playful, but perhaps distinctly pained on some deep interior level. Underneath this domestic squabble is true love. A few days of summer heat isn't going to melt their bond. Solid writing and incredible acting make this commercial enjoyable to watch, but another big reason that we all remember this is that it played all the time. As a kid, I remember seeing this ad play for years and years on TV. It usually played in the middle of the day between my shows when I was watching Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. I remember that they played this ad over and over for so long that eventually it just stood out because it started to seem really old and didn't match the cultural aesthetics of the ads that came before or after it. There's a quote from this article that really sums up the type of memories that I have that are related to this ad. The more positive experiences you have surrounding a piece of media, like, for example, watching an ad during the carefree days of being a kid in summer, the more likely you are to remember it. The reason this commercial was pushed so hard on networks like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network was because they were targeting parents who might have been home while their kids were watching Rugrats or Dexter's Laboratory and who were disengaged enough with the programming to potentially make a call. The fact that you saw it over and over again meant that it was working. If you are lucky enough to write a good advertisement, repeat it until it stops selling. You aren't advertising to a standing army, you are advertising to a moving parade. That last sentence right there is a pretty succinct little lesson in advertising and marketing. I found another Sears commercial that is not for their air conditioners, but is instead selling heating systems. And this commercial really feels like the I'll Call Now commercial's long-lost sibling.
Look, I think I saw my breath.
You didn't see your breath.
I did, I saw it.
Why don't you call Sears?
Maybe I should call.
Ryan, I'm cold. You're cold. It's cold.
It's time.
It's got an identical structure and uses the same music track. It's generally got a similar look and feel right down to the camera angles and the acting and the pacing. It's a very similar commercial, yet no one remembers that one. So really, what is it about the I'll Call Now commercial that makes that one so memorable? I get tired of seeing the cliche of the husband in a commercial who is just comically stupid and inept. And I think the Sears heating commercial leans a little bit into that stereotype. So let's start by comparing the body language of the guys in the two ads. One is sitting upright, confidently reading his newspaper without a care in the world, and meanwhile, the other is hunched over in a more childlike position. In response to his wife saying, "I cannot live another day without air conditioning," the I'll Call Now guy just says
tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
like a smartass. Hotter? His wife asks.
Like yesterday.
Still confident, cocky, and wisecracking. He's got a certain charm to him that makes him stand out from the way husbands are usually portrayed in advertisements. Now compare that to the heating commercial guy's first line.
Look, I think I saw my breath.
That's like something a kid would say.
You didn't see your breath.
I did, I saw it.
I did. I saw it. When the woman from the I'll Call Now commercial says,
Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
he remembers she said that. He knows exactly what she's referring to, but he's in a playful mood and has enough confidence to just deflect it with,
I'll call today.
when the heating commercial guy's wife asks him,
Why don't you call Sears?
he replies with a much more non-committal,
Maybe I should call.
then she reminds him of how cold they are,
Ryan, I'm cold. You're cold. It's cold.
and he goes, It's time,
It's time.
in a tone that's trying to sound like he made the decision himself while nodding in a way that says, "You're right, honey. You're always right." From my average guy's perspective, I like the I'll call now guy better. If I had to choose to be one of these two guys, I'm picking the I'll call now guy. If I had to hang out with one of these guys, I'm hanging out with the I'll call now guy. He seems pretty fun. I've seen some comments online asking, why didn't the wife just call Sears? But let's see what the ad's writer has to say about this question. Yeah, the woman could have called herself. This was the 90s, not the 50s. But it's always fun watching two people who really do like each other argue, whether it's the Honeymooners or Nick and Nora or a silly Sears I'll Call Now commercial. Asking why didn't she call is kind of missing the point. Obviously she is physically capable of making the call on her own, but imagine if she did? That'd be kind of boring. There's no conflict. Nothing interesting happened. And if she did just call on her own, we wouldn't have this conversation. There would be no commercial. We'd have nothing to talk about. And there would be an air conditioner-sized hole in our hearts. The banter between these two is the ad. There's just something about them that makes them feel like they're a real couple. They argue in that unique way that only long-term relationship couples do. In case you don't believe me and need any more proof that this ad is burned into the back of millions and millions of minds of people around my age, I found a number of parodies and tributes and cover versions, if you can call them that, of this commercial.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter,
Hotter?
like yesterday.
Yesterday. I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter,
Hotter?
like yesterday.
Yesterday.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yesterday you said you'd call way cool.
I'll call today.
You'll call now.
I'll call now.
Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You'll call now.
I'll call now.
Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You'll call now.
I'll call now.
You'll call now.
No, I won't.
Just call Sears, Frank. Make it easier for all of us.
Don't tell me what to do in my own house.
I want to close things out with a happy little epilogue to this whole story. Soon after learning of the ad's success and enduring legacy as a nostalgic icon in the minds of an entire generation, the two actors have reconnected and are still friends. It was like picking up like yesterday, and to be honest, Zafrano tells me later, he's still my friend. Well, that's about all I've got for today. If you stuck around to this point in the video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. As always, I like when you watch to the end, so that one's for you. And I hope this video was as much of a trip down memory lane for you as it was for me. So, until next time, goodbye.